welcome back to my channel, Natalie here, and in today's video I'm going to be sharing with you 3 crock-pot meals that are perfect for this fall season. Now I do want to say a couple things before we head into the recipes. The first thing is that me and my husband, we are not huge on crock-pot meals. It's not that we don't like it, but more so that we don't tend to cook with them as much. Can you believe the only reason why we have a crock-pot is because Luke likes to fix a queso dip that he likes to eat during football games or the Super Bowl, but that's a finger food, not necessarily a meal. So I did have to experiment a little bit to create these recipes and make some research about them. And I came out with 3 recipes that to my standards needed to accomplish the following requirements. Requirement number 1 is that this is a dump and go meal. You literally dump everything and walk away. You don't have to worry about cooking the chicken for 3 hours and then adding pasta after 3 hours and then let it cook for another hour. None of that. You just dump everything in the crock pot, you walk away, and then you open that crock pot again when it's mealtime. The second requirement I wanted for these recipes was that I wanted as little amount of prep as possible. So these are fairly easy. You can of course make them a little bit more complicated if you wanted them to, but I try to keep it super simple. And I gotta say, I have no complaints about any of these recipes regarding the way I fix them. Requirement number 3 is that I wanted these recipes to be something that you can open the crock pot and have your entire meal from that. I didn't want you to worry about having to cook any sides or anything, just everything in the crock pot, and you just put it in a bowl or put it in a plate, and there you go, you have your dinner. So that's how I came up with these recipes. I also wanted to mention that I did not use a crock pot liner, but I do have a special way I clean my crock pot, and I don't even have to soak them for many hours. It doesn't matter what I cook. This method works every time, and if you want to know what that is, stay tuned for the rest of the video and I'll show you. Without any further ado, let's just jump right into the video. So for the first recipe of this video, we're going to be making some white bean kielbasa stew. For that, of course, we're going to need 1 can, at least I'm using 1 can of white beans that I have washed and drained. I also have some kielbasa, some onions, and some spinach back there. I like to keep my spinach frozen so that it lasts longer. And in my crock pot, I'm going to start by adding my white beans, my kielbasa, and my onions. And to that, I'm going to add also my spinach. I did add a lot of spinach. I should have added a little less. I think it was a little overpowering. You can use as much spinach as you like or completely leave it out, but I like the idea of adding vegetables if I can to my meals. Once I have all of that in my crock pot, I'm going to proceed with my seasonings, and you can vary these the way you like. I use salt, pepper, Italian seasonings, and then I'm going to add also a bay leaf. This one is one that I will strongly suggest you to use because bay leaves and white beans are like best friends. They pair very well together. And then to that, I'm going to add 1 cup of chicken broth. I'm using low sodium, but that's going to be my liquid. That's going to help everything cooked very well. So I'm going to put the lid in there and cook it on high for 3 hours. And this is how my plate looked like. It was absolutely delicious. Just a few ingredients, super affordable and super filling as well. The second meal that we are going to be making today in the crock pot is going to be a lasagna, and for that I have browned some ground beef with Italian sausage. You can do this beforehand. If you do your meal plan on the weekends, you can just have this meat ready just so that you just have to assemble this on the day that you are fixing your lasagna. You're also going to need your choice of spaghetti sauce. I have Rails here, which I do understand runs on the pricey side, but any sauce that you have in your pantry will work really well on this recipe because there are so many other flavor elements involved. And then I also have your choice of Alfredo sauce. Now, why in the world am I using Alfredo sauce in lasagna? Well, you do need a creamy element. And in my case, I like to use bechamel sauce, but I didn't want to prep it because otherwise this wouldn't be a dump and go meal. And then if you want to use ricotta cheese, I guess you have to season that up beforehand. So just in order to reduce the amount of prep for this recipe, since we already had to prep the meat, I chose to use Alfredo sauce. It'll work really well if you want to do it this way. So if you want to try it like that, just use whatever Alfredo sauce you like. Then I also have some Parmesan cheese in the back. And then for the pasta, I'm going to be using this oven ready lasagna. That's what I use for fixing regular lasagna, and that's what I had in my pantry, and this will do very well. However, if you use regular noodles for lasagna, those will work really well since you don't have to cook them beforehand either. And then I also have 1 bag of shredded mozzarella cheese. I normally don't get it shredded, but I got it this way for this recipe just so that I can have everything faster. So to assemble my lasagna, I'm going to start with 1 layer of my tomato sauce. This is going to be the preventative element for my noodles to stick to my crock pot. And then I'm going to use 1 sheet of the oven ready noodles. Just 1 sheet because it's only for me and Luke, and these will expand in the crock pot. Just keep that in mind. I added another layer of tomato sauce, and now I'm going to add my meat, and then on top of that I'm going to add my Alfredo sauce. Keep in mind that Alfredo sauce has cheese in it, and if you don't like the extra cheesy flavor, avoid the mozzarella cheese. But we liked it, Luke liked it a lot, so I did add the Alfredo sauce on top and then the mozzarella cheese, and then I'm going to repeat that step until I reach the end. And then at the end I am going to add a little bit of Parmesan cheese. I'm going to cover this up and cook it on high for 2 hours. Yes, 2 hours. Everything here is cooked except for my noodles, and they were ready super fast in my crock pot. But keep in mind that cooking times may vary depending on the type of noodles that you're using. If you're using the regular lasagna noodles that you have to boil beforehand when fixing regular lasagna, keep in mind that you might have to cook this for longer. I will suggest you to Google that up. I would say 3 or 4 hours on high will be on the safer side for this. And then in here, I divided my lasagna in 2, and I'm serving them into the plates. As you can tell, they are very, very big servings. We did not have any leftovers because we really enjoyed this recipe. And I gotta say, Luke is not my lasagna guy. He doesn't necessarily love lasagna, but he really liked this one, and I was surprised because it was super easy to fix. And the third and last recipe, I mean, you guys, I don't even know if I should call this a recipe because it is so simple. We're going to be making a lentil soup. As you guys know, I love lentils. They are so flavorful and so nutritious. So I have some lentils here. I have my low sodium chicken broth, some water, some salt, and just a couple vegetables that I can find in my fridge. This case, I'm going to be using some carrots, some sliced onions, and a clove of garlic. And this is going to be super flavorful, super hearty, and super comforting for the fall. Especially on the day I fixed this, it was so gloomy, so rainy, and so cold, and this soup was exactly what my heart needed. So, you know, this might be super simple to you, but I will strongly suggest you to try it. You might be pleasantly surprised, and all of this was so inexpensive. I will dare to say that all the ingredients I used were less than $5, and we did have a couple meals off of this Crockpot meal that I fixed with those lentils. So I'm going to start by adding half a cup of dried lentils, and then to that I'm going to add my vegetables. You can use any vegetables you like, any vegetable that you have available in your fridge that needs to get used up. I will say all of them will go very well with the lentils. And then in here I'm adding 2 cups of water and 1 cup of chicken broth and 1.5 teaspoons of salt. This might seem like a lot of salt, but lentils are like potatoes. They can take a lot of salt. And then I'm going to cover it up and let it cook on high for 3 hours. Keep in mind that you can modify this recipe however you like. You can make it like a stew by adding less liquid, or you can add as much liquid as I added and have a soup. It'll depend on what you want, but do keep in mind that lentils absorb a lot of liquid. So whenever cooking them in the crock pot, it's better to run on the safer side and add enough liquid for them to cook. And here I'm serving myself a bowl. I was eating this for lunch and I really enjoyed it. Sometimes it's the little things that make us so happy. All right, you guys, just as promised, thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. So I'm going to show you how I clean my crock pot. No, I did not take a shot of it, and I am so mad I didn't. But if I wanted to get this video out on Monday, then I have to film this today, and I don't have a dirty crock pot to show you. So anyway, I've seen a lot of people using the crock pot liners. Of course, that'll be easy cleanup. If you are comfortable using those, by all means, your kitchen, you do what you want, but here in my kitchen, I don't feel comfortable using them, even though they claim to be BPA free and all of that. I still, will go through the hassle of washing my crock pot, but I do not want to spend 20 years soaking the crock pot for me to be able to actually take all the food that stick into the walls of it. What I use are these SOS sponges. I got them at Walmart. And what I do is that I mix them with my choice of dish soap. You can use whatever dish soap you like. I use Dawn. And you can also find these as Brillo, or the name that I know them for, Brillo. These should be really safe on your crock pot because your crock pot is made out of ceramic or stone. These will not scratch them. Of course, you cannot use these on non-stick pans or else they won't be non-stick anymore. But these are very good for the crock pot. You do not have to let your crock pot sitting for hours, soaking in water and soap. These will take all the food right off. If you do not believe me, let's remember the lasagna recipe. There were some brown meats in there that could have been such a pain to clean if I didn't have these. But no, I was able to clean it immediately, and these are just magic. All right, you guys, that was everything for today. Thank you so much for joining me in today's video. And if you're new, do not forget to hit that subscribe button for more content like this. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.